Welcome everybody. Today we are going to discuss about Flipping 101, a sales first strategy. This presentation is first the disclaimers, like this is education purpose only. Nothing in the session is financial, tax, legal, or investment advice. It reflects my journey, and it all depends on like different process and different markets. So every market is different. So numbers, benchmarks, and rehab costs difference here are specific to Tampa Bay market. Um, and with the contractor that I'm working with, you guys may be able to find somebody who can do it cheaper. Results are not guaranteed because real estate flipping carries a real financial risk, including loss of capital, and past performance does not predict future outcomes. And always make sure like you consult with the professionals who your own agents, contractors, lenders, and attorneys before acting on anything covered today. So the agenda is we will discuss about what is why sales first agenda, and then we go on to explain like why we need to have a buy box, and then the main topic of the presentation is the sales velocity. What is the sales velocity and how you need to read sales in a particular area, and then creating your own core team, which you can rely on once you identify a property that you think is good. And after that, we'll look into like how to calculate the ERV and how to make an offer, and followed by live demo. I do have some properties that I can do the deal analysis online, but I would prefer if any of you have a deal that you would like me to take a look, you can analyze it together and then go from there. So the expectation is you haven't closed a single flip yet, and this is a build for like zero deals done. Somebody who has been reading or watching a lot of content, but they don't know where to start. And like it depends on the content author, right? Like somebody who has done like 20, 30 deals, the way they explain things are in their level. Like they are not targeting somebody who's starting new, but rather somebody who has done some deals, and they will assume few things like you'll be knowing a couple of hard money lenders who are ready to invest with you, or you have a couple of wholesalers or agents who are sending you deals and stuff. That cannot happen overnight. That may take like 2 to 3 years, where you started flipping in a particular market, and then people know you, and then they see your progress, and then they'll slowly start associating with you, and then they'll try to do the bring you some business. But this presentation, I'm assuming you're brand new, you haven't done a single deal, and you want to know where to start. I will try to give the pointers, or especially I can explain my experience and how I started. But again, this may be a little different for your scenario, but overall idea is to make sure like I want to give you a simple framework which is easy to follow. And after the presentation, you will walk away with a framework for why the property matters less than the neighborhood around it, the exact role and professionals to line up before you even put a EMD on a particular property, and repeatable filter like buy box plus sales velocity, and saying no faster to deals than saying yes. So the overall, the reason why the flipping model works really is like um, in Q1 2026, 8% of all the houses that are sold are actually done by flippers. So 92% is the retail market. Like somebody bought a house and they little bit by doing a paint carpet in the house, and then they put it on market for sale. But only 8% of the houses are actually done by professional flippers who updated the house. And typically, a flipped house tends to attract better returns than a regular retail seller's house, because flippers they understand like what components needs to be changed, and since they work with volume, they'll be cost down, and make a decent profit when they sell the house. And for a buyer, it gives the fresh look and fresh smell of the house, which they like, and they're ready to spend a little bit more than paying for the one with the house with somebody already lived there for 4 5 years and now they're trying to sell. Back in 2012 to 2014, the flipping market was a little difficult, but from 16 to 19, um, people nowadays say like those were the days because they were able to get six-figure flips and seven-figure, I mean, six-figure flips profits, and even a lot of TV content, like reality TV content, like HGTV and other shows have started. But since after 2017, tariffs slowly people started realizing like costs are going up and market is not catching up with it. So the profits are kind of coming down. So right now, according to data, the typical profit for a flip is 66,000. But the way they're calculating this is when the property is purchased and when it is sold, and it's an average. So somebody may get like 100K, somebody may get 20K. So they're saying like this is the average profit flippers are getting right now. So if somebody already has a W2 job and they're looking to get into flipping to generate some passive income, flipping is actually a good avenue to start with, but it also comes with a little bit of risk. So that is what we are trying to understand in this presentation and have a framework to minimize that risk. So flipping is a speculative business in the sense like unlike um, suppose you go to a car showroom and you want to buy a car, like particular model, what features comes with it, and you can only buy that. If you want to make any changes like interior colors or something, you will have limited options, right? Um, because that line of business, they know like they are the only ones who are selling at that price and they're able to sell it. Similarly, in flipping, you don't know what the end buyer wants, right? So all you can do is like when you buy, there is no end buyer. So that's not the reason to avoid it, but rather to approach this business with a educated guess rather than just going in blindly. So to explain the phases in flipping, there are three phases. One is acquisition, the another one is rehab and disposition. So as an investor, your job is always to find deals and find money. So you'll be more involved in the acquisition phase. And slowly, when the rehab goes, when you acquire the property and rehab starts, the contractor or GC will do the heavy lifting, but you will be supervising. And similarly, once the house is rehabbed, you will be listing with the listing agent, and they'll be able to. And of course, you will be the one who will decide how much you need to list it for and go on from there. Like any business, flipping needs a plan, a repeatable process, and a capital in place to make sure like it make a successful exit, not a one-off gamble. In the sense, like if you understand how the flipping works and you build a pipeline of leads coming in, and you are trying to network with private money lenders and raise money, you will be able to multiply this by starting with one flip and then slowly acquiring more properties in a month and trying to make it into a business process. So the core idea is like you can't read buyer's mind. So the way we try to avoid that is no investor can predict exactly what the future buyer will want. But the sales first approach means focusing on what you actually can control and building your process around it. So how do we do that? So we'll start with buy box. So buy box will define the deals worth your time before you even take a look at the house. And then we check sales velocity, tells you the buyer actually wants this neighborhood right now or not. And finally, your team, like agent, general contractor, lender, wholesaler, all these have verified your deal before you send the money to the wholesaler to lock up the deal. Okay. So buy box. So buy box is a filtering technique where you will define what are your deal breakers, what are the things that you need to have, and what geographic boundaries you need to focus on, because you will be closely working with a general contractor in a particular market, and they physically need to visit the house and do the work and then move on to the next jobs. So you cannot buy the houses, the whole of Florida with one GC. You typically GCs would like to be in a particular county or city, and they would like to work only in those areas. And why you need buy box is, if you go to Facebook groups, or or you talk to agents who can send you the feeds of all the new listings that are coming in with keywords like as is or investor special or something like that. If you look at your inbox over a period of time, you will see like daily you're getting like 20, 30, 40 leads a day into your inbox, right? So by defining your buy box and creating a process around it will help you to first quickly eliminate as many deals as you can, because you already know your target market, you already know what are your deal breakers, and you already know what to avoid. For example, for me, my buy box in Florida is I'll only look for properties in Hillsborough and Pinellas counties, and I do not touch anything in flood zone. So flood zone has different classifications according to FEMA. You have flood zone AE, flood zone X, flood zone X 500, and then a couple more. But these are the three you will encounter more. So out of them, flood zone X indicates like flood flooding hasn't happened in the last 100 days, and FEMA has considered it to be less likely to have a flood zone. X 500 is more like a full-fledged flooding can happen once or twice a year, like 0.2% rating they'll give. Flood zone AE has high chance of getting flooded every year, right? So for me, since I started as a land wholesaler and I worked with builders for like a couple of years, like 3 years, some of the criteria they used to follow is the same thing. Like they would not, after a year, around like I think 2025, they started saying like, we are not going to touch anything other than if it is in flood zone X. The reason being, even if the builder or I buy a house which is in flood zone AE or something, you fix the house, you list it, and then you get a buyer who want to buy the house, and then they go for financing. And the lender says like, because the insurance cost is high, your income is not qualifying for you for this loan. We will not be able to process your loan. So in that case, what will happen is by the time you already spent like a month by being under contract with them, now they could not get the loan. So you'll have to relist again and wait for another month to get another buyer. So I didn't want to go through that. So I spoke to a couple of agents, and that is how I kind of prepared my buy box. So this will be applicable for any market you are in. It need not be in Tampa. Like even if you are in Pittsburgh or California, somewhere, just talk to a couple of agents. You'll be easily able to find out what can delay the deals, so that you prepare a buy box around that so that you can avoid acquiring them in the first phase. Okay. Now, the core of the topic is sales velocity. So sales velocity is something, this is already actually like if you talk to an agent and if you ask them like, hey, can you give me comparative market analysis? They would typically give you a report with graphics where they will pinpoint a particular address and then draw a circle around it, like for 0.25 miles or zero point 0.5 miles or zero point 0.1 mile. And then they set the parameters and then tell you like, okay, so in around subject property, like up to a half a mile, there are 10 houses sold. These are the average days on market, and this is the average price. Okay. The agents are already doing it. But why I made it as a special topic is because of the volume of the leads that we get in. And the agents are somebody like, they're always looking for their next buyer, next property that they can list and sell, rather than working with you unless they are in your payroll or something like that. And since, as I explained in the beginning of the presentation, you are starting out, you haven't done a deal, you need to have a process where you try to filter out the deals and identify the potential ones and then ask their help. That is how you build a relationship, and they'll start working with you. And then slowly over the time, if they have the lead source of sending investor deals, they may also include you and send you that. So for now, I will start with using Zillow's freehand tool, and I'll define the neighborhood myself and then check the numbers in there. So when I am defining the neighborhood, for me, I'll use the natural boundaries like busy roads, train tracks, or water bodies. So whenever there is a house in a subdivision, I'll try to um, draw the boxes around it by using these natural boundaries. So the goal is to, and also like when I'm doing it, I'll also be mindful of what type of properties I'm including in. Like suppose like if there is a mobile home park right next to a subdivision, I'll try to exclude that so that I'll be able to draw only around mobile home park, regular single family houses. You can do the same thing with Zillow filters also. Like when you select for sale or sold, you can select type of house. You can just select houses and then do that. So once I draw that, the first thing I'll do is I'll try to find the sales pattern in that. In the sense, like I look at, I'll try to make a note of the count of current active properties that are already listed in that small geographic area that I custom draw. And then I'll also look at the properties that are sold in last 6 months, 12 months, 6 months, and 3 months. I'll try to find a pattern in there. Like suppose there are 12 houses that are being sold in 12 months, and then 6 months, six, in 3 months, three. That tells me like every month, at least one house is being sold in that neighborhood. And if the actives are only like two or three, that gives me a little confidence saying that, okay, the neighborhood is hot, people are moving in, right? So, so that's the reason why I'm trying to draw a custom neighborhood. And also it helps me to avoid like typically like whenever a developer is developing a subdivision, right? They will try to connect it to the main road and then develop it a little inside. And typically, the neighborhoods will change if you cross a major road. Like the houses here, maybe like 400. The houses on the other side of the road can be like 600 or 700. So when you're comping a property, if the house stays on the left side of the road, where the houses are like three to $400,000, and you found a comp of 600, if you're not careful or if you don't understand the neighborhood, you will easily get thinking like, okay, maybe I'll be able to get 600 for my house. So if the agent is saying the wholesaler send the property for 400, maybe I should buy it, right? So that uh, bias can be removed if you try to draw your own neighborhood by using natural boundaries like busy roads, train tracks, and water bodies. Okay, so once I have my my custom drawn neighborhood, and then I saw the pattern, I will try to check out of the 6 months sold, how many of them are sold in less than 90 days. The reason I chose this 90-day test is typical house is like once you list the house, it takes a month for them to close from contract to sold. Usually takes a month to month and a half. So that means it was listed and on market for 60 days, and it went under contract around 60-day mark, and then it got closed at 90-day mark. That's what should happen for in a healthy market. If the house is staying more than 90 days, typically what will happen is agents, the listing agent themselves, they'll come and show you the new comps and say like, hey, even though we listed at 500K, these are the last sold houses, and they are all sold at these price points. So if we want to move our house, we need to reduce the price. So the moment you reduce your price, what will happen is whenever you're buying it, you will do all the math and you will come up saying, okay, once I sell the house, I should make $50,000. The moment you drop 10,000, that 10,000 is actually going out of this profit margin. And sometimes if it is really bad market, you may end up losing even more than that. That's why you need to be very careful and pay attention to this 90-day test. I mean, at least this is what I found it to be useful in 3, 4 markets that I'm working on right now. So what I'll do is like I will go for I'll manually calculate how many days the listing is on, and I calculate for 6 month period, and I'll see the count. If more than half of the 6 month count is 90-day or less, I will qualify the lead and take it to the next stage. Okay, so for example, 6 months, 10 houses are sold. Out of them, 6 of them are sold in less than 90 days. I will qualify it. Only if 5 of them are done, it is like 10 by 2 is like 5, half the count. I would be a little skeptical. Depending on the market, I'll take a call whether I should look into it or not. But if it is less than 5, I would definitely disqualify and move to the next lead. Okay. So the typical time frame of a flip is typically like 6 to 8 months. Like 4 to 6 months is when the contractor will be able to finish the whole thing, and then you need at least 2 to 3 months to sell your house. So slow selling pockets means you need to budget extra days on market, and past 90 days, agents often push for price drops straight out of your pocket. So that's the reason I try to stay under 90 days. So you have your buy box. You said like, I don't want these. So you eliminated all those, and whatever is left, you check for sales velocity. And also you saw the pattern that it is consistent like every year for the last 12 months, at least one house is being sold, or you see some kind of a pattern, and you check the sales velocity count, and most of the houses are being sold under 90 days. So now you need to determine the ARV and then make an offer to the wholesaler. So typical thumb rule is you can use Zillow and use sold properties. You can select like last 6 months sold properties and use plus or minus 200 square feet of the subject property. Suppose the house is like 1500 square feet. You can look for houses on Zillow from 1250 to 1750. Okay. So without those filters, suppose you got 10 houses. Once you put the filter, maybe that count can drop to like the 3 or 4. So out of those, make sure you are matching like kind. Like usually in Florida, we see houses with pools. They command little premium price than a house without pool. So always try to make sure like you're comping like kind of properties. Also, one technique is since I think beginning of 26 or I think 25, Stellar MLS where in Tampa market we use Stellar MLS. They stopped leaving the old photographs on a sold listing on Zillow. So if you have an MLS access, you'll still be able to go to the history and see all the pictures. But they stopped giving that feed to the Zillow, and Zillow was only showing like 1 or 2 pictures. So I was talking about this to one of my realtor buddies, and I asked him like, "Hey, is there any way you can give me access? I don't want your actual login, but I need to see the sold properties, the pictures, so that I know what type of rehab they have done, and that will give me an idea in comping for my properties." So then he added me as his assistant, and so that way, like I get read-only access to all the listings, and I get to pay my own account. So I'm not using somebody else's. I'm using my own account, but officially I'm his assistant, and I'm able to use that access to whenever I need to check the like level of rehab that is done for the other property. The other question people ask me is like, okay, so I selected the calm property and I went through the last 6 months sales and I selected like plus or minus 200 square feet. Now, which one should I take? Should I take the least amount that is sold or highest amount that is sold? So in my case, what I would typically do is I'll filter out by high to low and try to check the first property and see the type of rehab that is being done. And since I'm working with a contractor in Tampa market who also has a design company, and his designs are always like the houses that they work are usually under contract in 10 days unless the investor prices it too high. So I know he always delivers quality product. So what I tell him is like, Um, so when I'm checking it, I'll see what type of rehab is done. If they do the complete rehab, like they remodel the kitchen, they may remodel the bathroom and all, I would usually use that. But again, whatever you're doing so far, you're doing it on desktop. And once you qualify a lead, that is when you will double check with your team, and then you go and make an offer on the property to the wholesaler. Okay. So the reason why I had to do all this and not directly ask the agents or wholesalers to send me deals and directly send it to the professionals is because nowadays, especially with social media and all, everybody is having multiple channels and everybody is trying to stay competitive by, trying to reach as many audiences as they can. So the time is always valuable. So most of them are like self-employed. So out of 30 leads I got, I'm trying to filter out 29, finding that one deal which I think can work, and then asking them to verify that one deal and to make sure like my numbers are aligning with their numbers. That actually helps me because, as they also work with other investors, it helps them to cut down their time instead of, they trying to educate me. They will just verify my numbers and tell me what they think. And then based on that, I can go from there. Any questions so far? Hey, Christine.
Hi, Jay. I do actually have a question.
Hey,
When you were
yes.
talking about the properties being sold within that amount of time, and you're looking at 10 houses, six houses, three houses, are you looking at the
All right.
proximity, the distance? Like, how are you, what
No,
factor are you using for the distance there? Like, when you look up those comps and for 10 properties, are they close? Are they spread out? What?
no. Let me show you one of the example that I was working on this morning. Maybe you will understand it much better.
Okay.
Okay. So here is okay. This is Gulfport property. Okay, let's look at this one. Okay, so I'll explain about this tool, how I develop this and other stuff, and how you can develop it with Claude. But for now, I'll just explain the process that I'm doing manually. Okay, so the subject property is this. So this is the lead I received yesterday. So this is in Gulfport, which is close to St. Pete. Okay, it has like a 3 bedroom, one bath, and 1020 square feet. Okay, so the moment I get the address, I'll try to look in Zillow and identify like where exactly is this. Okay, and um, then I will try to draw a custom neighborhood. So for that, as I said, I will look into. Um, sorry, I think this is much clear. So I'll try to uh, use the boundaries of busy roads, water bodies, or train tracks. So in this case, if I were to draw a diagram of my neighborhood, I will try to use this area and try to
Right.
see comps in this area.
Okay.
Okay, here is the example. Okay, so you can use this freehand tool and then you can just simply change the filters the way you want. So
Yeah.
here I'm going to 6 months
Hmm.
and making sure like I'm only selecting houses and then count. There are like 15 houses that are sold in this area.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so
Yep.
this is what I was talking in the presentation.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, yeah, we covered most of it. Okay, so here comes the team that you need to have and how to find. I flipped out of state also. So in that cases, agent was my boots on the ground. Like I can look at a picture and say like, okay, this house may require like maybe 20,000 or 30,000 to rehab the house. Okay. But I am in Florida and the house is in Pittsburgh. So for my Pittsburgh property, I did exactly that. Like once I closed the property, I identified the agent and I told her like, hey, I'm out of state buyer. The house doesn't need too much work. It just needs paint, carpet replacement, and maybe a little bit of mechanical servicing and stuff. Will you be able to find those people for me? All I need is a phone number. I'll coordinate from there. She said like, yeah, sure. I work with a couple of investors and I know I have some contacts and I'll give it to you. So she ended up giving me like three or four people, and the fourth person seems to be in my budget range, and I started working with him. So one technique for me is agents also have their resumes listed on Zillow. So when you go to find agent option and you select by their name, you can go and see like how many properties they have sold in last 12 months, how many properties they sold overall. And if you scroll down, you can see all the 12-month properties that are sold, and out of them which are seller represented and buyer represented. Since I am the investor, I am listing the property to sell. I want to work with seller agents, and I want to make sure they are doing volume, but they are not part of a team. The reason being, when you're part of a team like like one of those big name firms, they don't really focus on your listing alone. They always keep doing this, where is my next listing come from, and they'll focus on that. At most, they'll give you like 10 to 15 days of their effort on your house. And if it doesn't get sold or if it doesn't get action in that time, they'll be like, your baby is ugly, there is nothing I can do, right? So for that, what I found was I'll use Zillow find an agent. I'll try to find people who are independent, not part of any big teams. And I want to see at least 12 souls per year. And of those listings, I want to see the seller represented listings. How many of them are sold in less than 90 days and with close to 5% listing price? Why this is important is if they price it right, house, and you already rehab the house compared to nine other houses which are not rehabbed and yours, and if they do a proper marketing and put the house in front of the prospective buyers, you should get a contract in first 1 week or 10 days, right? So how will I know? I can check their previous work, but I'm not going back 5 years. I'm only going back for last 12 months and seeing like how they did. And based on that, I will have a conversation with them. And then I will go from there. Like once I talk to them, I'll try to figure out like who is more investor friendly and who is trying to, come up with creative ways to make sure like the listing reaches most of the audience, and then go from there. So this happened recently with our one of our house in Tampa. Like we bought a house and initially, I thought like we can sell it for like 350, but I was talking to like three agents from this method. Like I found a list of like 15, out of them only three picked up my phone. I spoke to all three, and everybody said like, no, you cannot. If you want to keep the same configuration of two bedroom, two bath, max you can get is 310 to 315K. So I took that feedback to my contractor and told him like, hey, dude, I'm talking to these three people, and everybody said the same thing. What can we do? So he came up with an idea to add extra bedroom, and now we are listing it next week. So that is what will happen. Like even if you're not in that market, even if you haven't done a deal in that particular zip code, because this particular zip code happens to be heavily Spanish speaking people. Okay. So they tend to value more rooms than typical retirees who are moving from north. So that local insight, somebody who has W2 job and sitting in front of a computer all day, I will never get it unless I drive there. But instead, I relied on the agent's knowledge and figured that out. And I told him, and now we are making it so that we can get the max price out of it. So, so this really helps. Like even if you want to switch between different zip codes, or somebody like, you already have an agent, but that agent is not truly interested to go that far, you can always find somebody else on the market by using this method. And GC and contractor, these are little difficult, but it also depends on type of rehab that you need to do in a house. Generally, house needs either a light rehab where you're redoing the paint and changing the carpets. You're not doing anything else. You're not updating kitchen or anything like that. Those type of things, you only need one or two tradespeople to do the entire job, or so usually handyman will be able to do it, depending on the market. Then comes the moderate rehab. The moderate rehab is generally considered like where you're updating your kitchen, you're updating your bathrooms, and doing flooring, and sometimes roof, and hot water heater. Okay. When I say this, it may sound like simple, but even these, they typically take 4 to 5 months, because of all the coordination and materials, and one trade people should finish their work before somebody else can come in and other stuff. And then you have uh, gut jobs, wherein the house has some foundation issues, or the roof is collapsing, or you need to do the trusses on the roof, not just replacing the roof. You need to structurally also, you need to lighten it up, and you need to pull permits and stuff. That is when it is called a gut jobs. For those, you need experienced contractor. But somebody who's starting, I would recommend to stay with light or moderate rehab. Don't pick up heavy rehab projects, even though they seem like good numbers in the end. Like your profit may be higher. You don't have experience to handle the issues that come up with such a big job. Okay. So how do you know? One thumb rule I typically use is the subject property. I go to Zillow and see when it is last sold. If it is last sold in last 10 years, that means somebody else already fixed the house and sold it. Now after 10 years, the whole homeowner is selling it. So that means 10 years back, if there are any structural issues or something, they would have typically taken care of it, because every house, I mean, I would say like 90% of the houses that are sold in Florida are through bank loans. So bank will not approve unless there is an inspection report. Usually inspection reports catches bigger issues. Cosmetic issues, maybe, like suppose two or three beams have uh, rotten issues or something like that, maybe that would have slipped them then, but I don't really have to fix the trusses or foundation issues and things like that. You may, but if you're starting out, I would recommend not to pick up those kind of properties for flipping. And usually contractor will be able to tell you the type of rehab you need to do once you send the pictures to them. The best place to get the contractor references is going to your local RIA meetups. The difference between creative deals and RIA meetups is RIA is more focused on people who are flipping houses and doing hard money deals. Whereas creative, the house is already being done on market for sometimes it's not getting sold. So you really don't really get involved in fixing the house. Rather, you're looking at how to make it as a cash flow and make it into investment property. This is after the work is done. But flipping is like the actual work. So I would recommend you to go and physically meet people in your local RIA meetings, REIA meetings. Um, that's when you'll be able to get some references, and you still have to go through your process of making sure like you check their previous work, you go and talk to them on their work site and see the work, and talk to other investors and get their experience. Um, Next is hard money lender. Typically, like any other fellow investors can usually like, they can refer you to the hard money lenders. Um, Initially, when you're starting, you may have to shell out a little bit more money, because like when I started, my hard money lender wanted to give me like a 12% interest plus 2% 2 points. In the sense like technically I'm paying like 14%, right? But once I crossed three properties, that interest rate came down to 10 and the points came down to 1.5. So depending on your experience, hard money lenders will try to give you favorable conditions, but initially you may have to spend a little bit, but that is the cost you need to pay to make sure like you're getting your experience and track record for getting a better deals in future. Um, then the next role is wholesaler. So they are your channel for getting you the deals. Okay. So they typically work with multiple vendors. So multiple investors. I would recommend having a separate dedicated email ID to catch all these deals that are coming in so that you will have a separate email, and in future if you hire a VA or somebody, it'll be easy for you to just give that login to them or add them to that email account so that they can filter and tell you which deals are good. For me, I find wholesalers typically in local meetups, but more than that, I'm finding them through Facebook Marketplace. Sorry, not Marketplace, Facebook groups. So I use the keywords like Tampa real estate, Tampa flipping, Tampa investments, or something like that, or Tampa wholesale. Um, so when I join those groups, I look at like who's actively posting about a deal there. I'll just put in the comments, I'll just say like, hey, can you please add my email deals@lakecapitalgroup.net to your buyers list. That's all I'll say. Like I won't even say like, hey, can you send me the details of this deal? Usually once they see like you're interacting with them, they will quickly try to reach out to you and send you the deal. And since I have a dedicated email, everything will come and sit there. And I can, once I'm done with my job, I can go back and review and see which deals are good for me. And then if I don't like something that is not fitting my buy box, like not being in flood zone X or being close to busy road or something, I'll just let them know. And one of the important things for a wholesaler relationship is feedback. Especially when you're starting and you haven't done a deal, it is better you give some feedback saying that why you're not taking up a deal rather than just ignoring them just because it is not fitting your buy box. They appreciate that. And the last ones in your team should be like attorney and a bookkeeper. Attorney, usually like once you have started working with a particular wholesaler or a hard money lender, those contracts don't really change. So just have somebody handy so that if you want, they can review and give you their advice. And bookkeeper is important because like once you start doing more than 2, 3 deals, you will be asked by investor to share your numbers and stuff. So it is always better to have somebody else to do your books and prepare a statement so that you can share it with the potential investors. Any questions here?
Jay,
Yes.
hi, question. What
Yes.
was the question that you asked the wholesalers? I'm sorry, I missed that part. You asked them a
No,
specific question at the beginning.
I would say like, can you please add my email to your buyers list? That's all I'll say.
Oh, buyers list to your
Buyers
buyers list.
list.
Okay, got
Yes.
it. Thank you.
Okay. So now you have you identified a property that is satisfying all your bypass conditions and it has sales velocity. Now comes the offer map. The problem with some of the markets is especially like in Florida, Tampa Bay market, the market is very hard in the sense like there is only 3 months of supply at any given time in last 1 year. Like if people want to buy a house, they don't have enough options. But some reason that is not increasing the prices also, but that is a problem for investor like us who are trying to flip because when there is no supply, the wholesalers will try to squeeze as much as they can because they know like other flippers are trying to get the same property. So the 70% math may not work in all the cases, but for the presentation's sake, I'm just keeping it here. It comes with like for me, my hard money lender will tell me if the deal is a good or not because he will pull his own comps and he will determine the ARV and he'll tell me like, okay, once you do this, you'll be making like 50,000, 40,000, which is like 10%. He want to say at least 10%, or else he will not qualify the lead. He will come back and tell me like, hey, you're paying too much. Just go back and renegotiate with the wholesaler. Okay. For you to do the math or initiate the dialogue with the wholesaler because you are the one who's building that relationship with the wholesaler, I would say like try to go with the 70% ARV rule but don't tell your lowball offer to the wholesaler. But rather, suppose like the house is like 500,000, okay, and the ARV is 500,000. So 70% of it is 350. Suppose the house needs 100K. So your offer should be starting at around 250K. If the wholesaler is like a 350K, you have too much gap. So if you keep throwing lowball offers to the wholesaler all the time just because you need to give feedback, they will not prioritize you. Instead, what I would do is I'll try to see if my price and wholesaler price is around 20% difference or 10 to 20% difference. That is when I will tell the wholesaler saying that, hey, I'm interested in this property, but I'm not going to pay the full price that you're asking. I would rather, but I won't give him the number. He would come back and say like, okay, tell me how much you want to offer. That time, all I would tell him is like, if there is a wiggle room in the price, let me know. I will ask my contractor to walk the property and give me the price so that I can give you the firm answer. Okay, right now we are actually doing one for one property in Tampa right now, where the wholesaler wanted 210, but with my math, 70% math, it is only coming for 145. So I didn't tell her like 145, but rather I told her like I need I need Alex to walk the property and give me the exact number. So far from the pictures, it looks like we need to put in like 100K to fix the house. If he comes back and says like he can do it for lesser price, I'll be able to increase my offer. So that is how you can negotiate with them and yet make sure like they are not thinking like you always lowball their offers. Okay. So the same thing I explained in the slide, like you only open the dialogue if you are like 10 to 20% of the wholesaler's asking price. And before you send the EMD, make sure you confirm with your GC and hard money lender. And GC has already walked and he confirmed the numbers. That is when you'll send the EMD and get into contract. Any questions here? Okay. So my process, like defining my own buy box and all, it kind of evolved. Like initially, I was talking to some wholesaler the other day, and she said like, "Oh, when I spoke to you last year, you said like your buy purchase price is only 250K." I said like, "No, that kind of evolved. Right now, I'm able to buy up to like 500 as long as ARB supports it." Right. So I try to copy somebody else's and then slowly kind of refined my own way because Florida has its unique problems. Um, Similarly, like other markets, like I have one property in Baton Rouge which will be closing in 2 weeks, and also one in Pittsburgh. Those two are completely different problems, right? Louisiana also has a flooding issue like Florida, so I use that to quickly determine whether it is good or not. For Pittsburgh, school district mattered for the buyers there. So when I was buying that, I made sure like it is in a good school district and then bought it. So that usually comes with practice and your experience, and also talking to a couple of agents, you'll be able to determine your buy box. I would recommend starting it in an Excel, having the process nailed down by analyzing at least 1,000 properties, and then using Claude and Monday to develop a system that I currently have, which I showed you a couple of minutes ago. And as I said, this flipping deal analysis usually takes a lot of time. For me, I had to go through like 500 leads to get my first property in Tampa. Um, I still have the problem. Like right now, I'm more than 500 and I haven't found a deal in the last 3 months because, the more mature you are, you'll be able to define your system and try to find a bigger spread property. Again, it depends on each person's condition. Um, But my point is better to start with manual, you master the process and then build your own system. And nowadays, Claude can help you do that. You don't really need to hire a developer or anybody like that. Okay. So the key takeaways is flipping is speculative. So there is no buyer at the purchase. So build your process around what you can control. Buy box filters the deals before you can before they can burn you out. Sales velocity tells you if the neighborhood is a winning horse before you look at the house. And line up your whole team before you process your EMD. And always try to comp conservatively, because um, once you whatever comps you're pulling right now, those are 6 months old, and you need another 4 to 5 months. Like in the next 6 months, those comps are not valid anymore, right? That's why you need to be little conservative, and especially like there are some wholesaling companies like um, New Western and 21 Property Group and all. They try to intimidate new people who are coming into flipping side by saying like, okay, I have this deal, I sent it to all the buyers, and within 1 hour, they'll send another email saying that the property is sold. So 1 or 2 deals, it may not shake you, but over a couple of days, you'll be like, oh, they are kind of creating a sense of urgency, so aren't kind of forcing you to pay the higher price. But I would strongly recommend try to stick to your numbers, because two of the 5 6 deals I closed, I bought them because the first buyer bailed out in the last minute, and they came to me and they agreed for my numbers. So it can happen. It may take a while, but always try to have your own numbers dialed down before you put in any money with the title company. And start in Excel and try to systemize once you know the process end to end. And recommended reading, I would recommend these books, especially Real Book of Real Estate by Robert Kiyosaki. It covers like 24 or 25 topics of different topics in real estate, including creative deals and developing land and other stuff. They are just introduction topics. They are not going to go in depth or give you any formulas or anything like that. But that book really helped me to envision, like understand like different topics in real estate, so that I know which guru is talking about which strategy and what are the issues with that. And since flipping income is active income, at some point you will quickly realize like you need to have rental houses to offset the taxes. And these books really help me to get an idea like what to expect in a market, instead of just because somebody else said like it's a good investment. I'm not going blindly in. I want to see the jobs or the rental rates in a particular market before I buy something there. Okay. Um, let's take a look at some of the let's do some deal review for my the deals that are currently in my system, or if somebody has any deals, I can do that live. We can all do it together. Kristen, you have any deals that you want her to take a look?
I did not bring any deals, Jay. I would have. I'm sorry.
Uh, no, it's fine. Um, Ivan, do you have anything you want her to take a look?
Uh, Not really, man. Like
Anything?
nothing
Eh,
has been kind of dry, you know. Nothing worth, nothing
No
worth it.
worries,
Yeah, I
man.
just don't have anything right now.
Okay, so I have these deals in my inbox. Let's quickly do 1 or 2 deals end to end.
Okay.
Um, let's see this Bradenton one. Okay, so somebody sent the like this tool I developed in Monday.com. I used Claude. Claude kind of gave me the code and other steps how to develop it. So I have a separate email and I use Zapier. So whenever a new email comes into my inbox, Zapier will poll it for every like 2 minutes or something, and it says a new email. It uses AI to go through the email, extract the address, and then create a item in Monday.com. So what it will do is like it will put the address here and then fill these 4 links. First link is FEMA link. The second one is Google Maps, the same thing, and the fourth one is Zillow link. So it will kind of create the links on the fly and then put it here. So my process is, my buy box is nothing in flood zone, nothing other than single family houses, not in busy road, not in middle of nowhere. Once it passes all these four, then I will spend time to calculate the sales velocity. Okay, so let's quickly check this one.
So Jay, you're using the Monday CRM and
Yes,
you had Claude create the
to do
board?
this. Yes. I,
Oh,
I, I explained the process to the Monday.com, like a Claude, saying that, okay, this is my buy box. I don't want, like, I want the option so that I can select whatever type of the flood zone it is. And if
yes.
it is not zone X, I want an email to go to the wholesaler saying that I'm not interested because it is in flood zone.
Okay.
So it explained how the triggers work here. Um, so these are the automation triggers. It kind of showed everything how to create these triggers and all. Like I did it over the weekend, like both Saturday and Sunday, I was able to do this.
You built it?
Yes,
You just did it. So you just
yes.
started using it.
I haven't had any coding, like I don't have to do any coding.
Yeah.
I just used everything from Claude, and Claude kind of drilled it down for me.
Wow,
So
that's
suppose if
awesome.
it is not single family,
Mm-hmm.
the reply it will change the reply message and then set the status to replied. Like all this, Claude showed me how to do it.
Really? Okay.
Yep. Okay. So I mean, there is still room for optimization, but for now it is working, so I'm not touching it. So coming to this is in flood zone X. Usually, like orange color indicates X500, and the blue is EAE. Okay, so since it is in zone X, I will uh, I will not skip it. I'll check further. So in Google Maps, I try to see if it is close to any of the commercial properties like apartments or strip malls or something like that. And also like some like especially in Atlanta suburbs, you'll see like heavy duty electric poles running in the back of the house. Some buyers are skeptical about those. So I try to use Google Maps to figure that out. Like I'll try to look like this and satellite view and also the street view to see what is happening around it. So this looks like everything is a single family around it. So I'll just check the street view. Yes. So for me, any type of yellow paint, whether it is a straight line or a broken line, it doesn't matter. That tells me like it's a busy road. In the sense like the DOT will not spend $50 per mile to paint this. They would only do it if there is a genuine traffic that needs to be controlled. That's when they'll do it. So for this lead, it is on a busy road because the house is this. This is the house, and this is the busy road. Like somebody is going inside, they can go here or they can go from here. But if young couple is buying the house, they really want to avoid because kids can, when they're playing, they can come here, and nobody wants that. So here, what I'll do is like I'll select this as zone X, and then this one I will select as a single family here, but I'll mark it as busy road. So what will happen is once I marked it, the automation is being triggered in the bottom right here. And if I go to busy road leads, it will come and sit in the bottom here. Okay. So this way, I
Wait,
don't have to look at that lead.
wait. Can you go back
Yes.
to that, Jay? Show me how you did that, where it ran at the bottom,
Yeah.
right there.
So this is the lead.
Yeah.
So I selected the type of zoning
Yes.
and I selected the property type.
Hmm.
Okay. Since I only work with single family, I don't work with condos or duplex or land or manufactured home, none of those.
Right.
And I selected busy road, yes or no, selected yes.
Busy road.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So what will happen is once I selected that, a trigger will send an email to the wholesaler. We can see that. I'll show you right now. So I use this deals at lakecapitalgroup.net email exclusively for the leads. So you go to send. This was 3:30. Right, I haven't sent yet. But typically it will sound like this. We are passing this because it doesn't meet our criteria, or it can say like, um, yeah, properties in flood zone, something like that. So this is important because they will get a feedback from you and see like this. He said like this is actually in flood zone X. I told him like I'm still analyzing it, just ignore it. But this is important for me. Like if a wholesaler is sending me something, I need to tell him if I don't like it. If I like it, that's a different thing. But if I don't like it, I want to share the bad news right away. Okay. So Monday
Yes,
has all
thank
these
you.
triggers to create these things.
Nice.
So, and again, like once you have your process drilled down, you can do oh, like this so that you can maintain the relationship with the wholesaler. Let's look at this Pittsburgh. Like I never set foot in Pittsburgh. I don't know anything about that market. But let's see if this is a good deal or not. Okay. So let's see the flood zone. Yeah, this looks like, I mean, typically if Pittsburgh and all, rarely you see flood zone issues, but okay, so the property is here. Let's take a look. Okay, I don't see any commercial buildings or anything around it. Let's also zoom back and see like how far it is from the city center. Okay, so this is like northeast. Okay, let's see
How
the
far
street
do you
view.
think that is?
I don't know. As I said, like I never went there, so I don't really care. See
Okay.
here, you see like okay, this looks like car parking. So this is a boarded house. Looks okay, like there is nothing for me to flag and say like, oh, this is not good or anything. Decent house. Okay. And now let's see. This is a single family. The estimate is 128K. Okay. But this is like a 3-1 and 1456 square foot. Okay, that's all I need to know when I'm filtering it out. So flood zone is zone X. Property type, single family. Be zeroed? No. Middle of nowhere? No. Because there are houses next to it, so I'm just making it. Now we need to determine the sales velocity. So I'll go back to both Google Maps and also Zillow, and also open one more. Okay. So now I need to identify this in Zillow map. So this part takes a while for you to master it, but it's not that difficult. Like if you do 15 or 20, you'll get it. So this is 380, and then there is Universal Park here. So I will draw something like this and try to come here and then close the loop. I'll try to search in this area because this is the main road and there are no other like there are houses, but it's not like next to each other kind of a thing. And there is a train track here. So I'm trying to use the natural boundaries to define my area. Again, this is for me to filter as much as I can. Step two, I will of course talk to a local agent and find out if my assumptions are right or if he knows something that I don't know. Okay, so let's go back to Zillow. And typically, like when you see this, it will show everything. All you have to do is like filter it to sold and then just go and make it to like 1 day. That will take a lot of these things off. Now you can try to figure out where you are. So yes, this is the area, right? So I'll say remove boundary and then use the draw tool. So since the property is here, here, so I can use this one actually. Um, sorry, cancel. Draw. Okay. So once I do this, now I change the filters back to uh, I'm checking for houses, and then I change it back to any because I want to see how many are active. So one house for 68,000 is active, close to the subject property. Okay. Now switch to sold and 12 months, 14. Okay. 5, 4. So I'll go back here. So active, there is 1, 14, which is 6 months. 5 and 90 days. I think 4, right? Yeah, 4. So you see, last 12 months, 14 houses are sold, but last 6 months, 5 are sold, and last 90 days, 4 are sold. So what does this tell me? I'm looking for a pattern here. So last 12 months, 14 houses are sold in the sense like at least one house is being sold every month. So last 6 months, I want to see at least 6 or 7, and I want to see 3 or 4 here. But looks like out of last 6 months, 4 are sold in last 90 days. In the sense like like May, April, May, June, 4 houses are sold. Jan, Feb, March, 1 house is sold. So I need to pause and think like why that would happen because you're talking about Pittsburgh, which is up north. There is snow there. Florida, born in India and raised in Florida. I don't know about snow. Okay. So that's when I realized, okay, so it could be the reason why, because winter doesn't have much sales there. So I would let it slide. Now I try to check out of 5, how many are sold under 90 days. Okay. So I come back here and change the filter to 6 months. And I try to sort high to low or low to high because that will be much easier for me. And looks like everything is sold off market, but let's see. So I scroll down, go to the sales history. That's good. So 514, May 14th, it is listed and sold in June 2nd. Since this is the count is less than 90 days, I will consider this. So 1, this is off market. So I don't know when they listed, when they sold it. So I'm not counting this. So 5 and 6, like 1 month of 10 days. So I'm counting this too. So this is listed in July 2025 and sold in March 26. So this typically happens when you overprice it. So they started at like 260K, ended up selling at 200K. But anyway, this is not under 90 days. I'm skipping this. So far, I have 2 properties sold under 90. So let's see the third one. Yeah, 4 and 6 is like less than 2 months. So 3. So I will enter under 90 days as 3. So what this will do is this will automatically make it qualified, but I would manually make sure like this is the volume I want to see before I qualify it. So I have a filter here, yes or no. So I would take a look at it and see like okay, out of 5, 3 years old in less than 90 days in out of on those 5. So this is something I can explore more. So I would say yes here. And I will move this to rehab review. Okay. So far I looked at a house, I looked at the neighborhood, I looked at the sales in the neighborhood, and now I qualified the lead. Now I need to check the type of rehab I need to do and see how much money the wholesaler want and if my number is coming close to their asking price or not, and then determine if I want to make an offer or not. Understood?
Yes, that's very clear.
Okay. So if you have your buy box clearly defined, you can have a system like this, and it will be easy for you to do it manually for yourself, or after some time, like you analyze enough deals, you can always hire a VA, and they'll be able to do it for you. That way, you can just come here and check only the deals that needs your review, and then after that, if it is priced too high, you can just say like, okay, no, it failed the check, and you can just move it to something else and keep this free, so that you can analyze the next deal. Christian, for you, this actually helps even when you're landing your site. In the sense, like I'm not saying like you have to manually do all these things, but try to focus on the comps that they're giving and see if they're actually sold faster and what type of rehab they're going to do.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So this is the whole concept and the presentation. If anybody has any other questions, we can discuss. If not, we can, end the presentation. Ivan, anything from you?
Jay,
No,
thank you very much.
yeah, thank you. It made sense.
It was awesome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think we went over many of these concepts.
Yes, we did, but even this is my like I think 4th presentation. I'm kind of improvising and trying to
Yeah,
focus on the core parts, so
yeah. Will you be uploading this to YouTube or?
yes, I might. I will send you the link, and if anybody wants the presentation, I can send that to you also, so that you can
I
keep it
would,
handy
Jay, if
and
you can.
you can develop on this yourself. I don't mind if you improvise this.
And then I can ask more questions.
Yes, you can. You can
Okay.
always ask
Thank
Kristen.
you. Thanks very
You're
much.
welcome. Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you for joining, and let me know if you have any questions. This is my contact information. Most of you already have mine, so anytime you want me to take a look at deal you want to make sure, I can always let you know what I think. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.